Hello and welcome to your Feel Better Break. My name is Alia Fern, registered yoga instructor and mental health counselor. Today I wanted to invite you into a practice exploring some balance poses or balance shapes here today. So we talk a lot about balance in our lives, work-life balance, balancing responsibilities, balancing perhaps jobs or income streams, balancing finances, balancing a ledger book, anything like that. It's all this concept of balance. Okay, well, how do we get there? One way that we can access more of our kind of mental and emotional balance is actually by engaging a physical balance practice. So by bringing that experience into kind of more of the body helps us to kind of cue into understanding what that's like and how we create that also internally as well. And this is that concept of building this practice from the ground up, healing ourselves from the ground up. So we want to start here today by offering you a chance to just start from standing in place. This is also adaptable to some support if you want to find a wall or a piece of furniture to hold on to throughout this time. But this, can just provide some steadiness for you and help you to kind of explore gently your levels with the balance practice. I wanted to offer today the tree pose, or the tree shape, grounding the feet into the floor. I like to spread my toes out nice and wide and keep my feet about hip width distance. So you can kind of find that space where the ankles are more or less centered, right underneath the attachments where the legs meet the rest of the body. You can also choose to walk those feet in a little bit or bring those big toes to touch. The heels might stay separated just a little bit here for you as well. A wider stance helps to create more balance. And a narrower stance is more of a balance challenge. So even as you're standing throughout your day, you can notice, do I need a wider base of support here? Do I need to kind of take up more space and use more of the earth here to have that foundation that I need? Or am I interested in testing that balance, finding some of that strength and energy within, and noticing, even with my feet and my kind of position on the ground a little bit more narrow and condensed, that we're building that strength and energy in the body, finding that support internally. So a couple ways to kind of conceptualize this. Another important factor here as we work into a practice of balance is what we call a drishti, or a focal point for the eyes. So I will encourage you to find something to look at that might not be moving, and that could be perhaps the clock behind me, or a feature somewhere on my bookcase, maybe one of the pom-poms here hanging down. So you can still maybe see the screen, but you're focused on something that isn't moving, unlike myself. And this can be also true for your own room or home or office, wherever you are. You can pick something that's not moving and really focusing the gaze there for that point, trying to allow yourself to maybe blur the edges of the vision and soften that gaze on that still fixture. You're welcome to start with the hands out to the sides if you like to. Another place where maybe finding balance helps is bringing those hands, could be to the hips. You could bring them out like airplane wings. I like to bring the hands to press in at heart center. This kind of pressure on the midline, focus on the midline of the body can also help us to find that balance and execute a nice healthy kind of practice here as we're maybe being swayed side to side in the world. From this place, noticing your feet on the ground, you can maybe shift the weight forward and back. You can rock a little bit, maybe forward and back, a little bit side to side. Just getting yourself aware of how the feet control the balance, what structures and muscles are being used to support you as you stand and take kind of the place on the earth that is for you in this world. Coming back to that drishti, or the focal point with your eyes, if you have moved away from that. Allowing yourself maybe to start to shift the weight into the right foot. You can choose at what point in time you would like to stop, or where you're feeling like, okay, I'm building enough strength, maybe there's a slight wobble. Allowing yourself to pause and really give yourself time to build this practice over time. So as you shift weight into maybe the right foot, picking up the left heel and rotating that left knee over to the side here. You can always step that foot out, again, widening that base of support for yourself if that feels good. And anytime you bring that left foot a little closer to the right foot, You're again challenging that balance by taking up a little less of a footprint here. If that feels okay, you might even raise onto just one toe, or bring the foot to connect with the inner ankle. Perhaps the toes can be grounded, or you can just have those toes slightly elevated here. And maybe you choose to step out of that shape. Give yourself a little reset before we come back into it. You can choose to do that many times throughout this exploration or in your own home practice. And coming back to centering the weight into that right foot, maybe coming back to kind of that place where we left off. If you want to add on to this, you might also practice bringing the foot into the inner calf. We want to just keep the heel and the pressure below the knee, and then pressing that foot into the leg and the leg into the foot. So much like those hands are pressing on the midline, perhaps the foot and the leg are also creating that squeeze, and focus on that balance point in the middle. Good, so you might come to release that, shake it off or bounce it. Maybe shake out that right standing leg. And just inviting you to come back maybe one more time into this space, choosing if you'd like to that balance on the right foot one more time. Maybe picking a lesser depth this time to notice what feels good for you. Maybe coming back to that ending place from the last phase of the practice. Giving yourself time to just breathe through the shape. Fix the gaze. And notice balance. And coming to release again. When you feel ready, you can shake or bounce that out. Good. And then inviting just that same kind of fluid practice here for the second side as well. Coming back to notice both feet on the ground. Maybe taking a nice deep breath in and deep breath out. Those kind of transition breaths can help us just to signal the nervous system, okay, we're ready for an input, we're ready for something new. Taking our place on the earth, you can choose wider feet or more narrow feet. Choosing where you want your hands, maybe choosing where to fix your gaze. Then choosing perhaps to rise off the heel on the right side this time, grounding the energy into the left standing leg. Maybe turning that right knee out, getting a little hip rotation and a little bit of opening stretch here through the hip crease. Maybe you choose to come up onto just one toe. Maybe you choose to bring that right foot in toward the left foot a little bit more here. Taking time when you need it to kind of balance out and reset the shape. If you don't feel like you need that at all, you can just continue to progress or continue to hold your balance shape. That's great. But it's also super good for us to just kind of take care of ourselves as we explore these new ways of being, come back to center and shake it off. And then reapproach it with that fresh perspective. I can do this. I can challenge myself in this way. And you can choose what depth you want to come to. Maybe this time you take the toes off the ground, maybe just pressing into the ankle. Maybe this time you want to explore rising where that heel comes just below the knee. Foot pressing into the leg, leg pressing into the foot. Focus on the midline. Holding for a breath or two. And then choosing if you want to release it, reset it, bounce it out, shake or wiggle. Okay. And then just trying maybe one more time to give yourself space for this practice. For this practice. Left leg comes back to bearing the weight. Maybe the right knee opens out. Maybe that foot stays connected to the ground, and maybe it rises off the ground. Maybe allowing yourself again to press those palms on center. Maybe take a little lift through the crown of the head. A breath or two here for your balance in your practice. And choosing when you feel ready to come to release the shape. You can kind of wiggle it out, bounce it out. From here, if you kind of really notice a lot of intensity or built up energy, you can kind of come to clap it out. Or even just like take a little kind of hammer fists to some of the leg muscles and just help ease any strain that might be there. So we'll clap the calves. Good. So you're welcome to bring this into the rest of your day, maybe coming back to this practice if or when you kind of think about it, or It can also be a great check-in tool if you're like, well, am I doing okay? Do I feel balanced? Sometimes the shape will tell you. If normally a tree shape is very easy for you, and today perhaps you're not really sure where you are, and you're definitely going to keep a wider stance and the toes grounded because that's just the practice you need. That's a really good way of checking in with yourself and just allowing yourself again to kind of build that confidence and stability back from the ground up. So with that, I will invite you to kind of keep exploring, keep breathing, bringing that gentleness and love in for yourself today and every day. Stay tuned for more videos, and thank you so much for joining in. Namaste.